right here I have a rough sawn piece of cherry. It's a really nice piece of wood, but there are some issues here, and you can't just plane this down, cut it open and start using it. I mean, that is a solid crack. Okay, welcome to the Darbin Orvar channel. My name is Linn, and today I want to go over working with rough sawn lumber. And there's a cupping, there's some twists. Stops right here, we got some knots. First of all, you can see that the heart of the tree is right here in the middle. There's no crack, but we're gonna make a mark right here. So you're probably a woodworker, right? Perhaps you have, used a selection at the home improvement store, but now you're looking to move beyond that. Maybe to save money, to expand your options. So you're looking at rough sawn lumber. And rough sawn lumber is really great, but it's also very different from working with pre-milled lumber. So let's go over what do you have to think about? What do you have to do? So how do we actually turn this into usable wood? I have a long ruler right here. The heart continues. So what are some common issues when it comes to rough sawn lumber? Okay, number one, you have cupping. That's when it kind of looks like this. This, by the way, is our piece of wood, piece of paper. But here's a cupping, so you can see it's kind of like that. Solution to cupping, rip. This is what's going on with this board right here. So rip it in half, joint each one separately, and then you can always glue those two pieces together again once you've done that, if you need that width. Issue number two, bow. So this is when the wood kind of goes more like this. So it's like bowing like this. In this situation, you're gonna lose length because you're gonna have to cut it in sections, and each section will have less bow. Then you have crook. Now a crook is kind of hard to illustrate with this piece of paper actually, because this is when the board, imagine this board going like a half moon. The thing to do is to chop it into smaller section, and then each section will have less of a crook. Then we have issue number four, which may be the most annoying issue of them all, and that's the twist. One side goes higher than the other side. So one corner kind of goes up, and when you have a twist like this, you have a lot of tension in the wood, and sometimes if you have a really twisted piece of wood, it may not even be worth it to deal with it. Maybe just let someone else deal with that. The solution here is to cut it into smaller pieces and then work with each piece individually. This is going to become a butcher block counter. I really like cherry. It's relatively soft, it's not quite as hard as some other woods. I think it's like 950 on the Jenga scale, something like that. Now the thing with rough sawn wood like this is that it's not safe to put on the table saw like this and just cut it down the middle. So I'm gonna use circular saw, do it outside. Before you cut into your wood though, to start this milling process, there's a couple of things to make sure of. First of all, make sure your wood is dry. Invest in a moisture meter. You want the moisture level to go between, they're different, depends on the wood too, but like 9 to 14% is standard. Also, give the wood some time to acclimate to your shop, to your garage, whatever environment you're going to be working in. Put it there for a couple of weeks and let it, with some air in between, let it just get used to the environment and the humidity level that you have going on. Now one of my goals here is not to destroy this. I already went through one. This is like really heavy for the saw to cut through, so I think I'm gonna do some smaller cuts, starting like with a shallower cut and then going through again. Okay, if you don't have a circular saw here, I would use like a jigsaw, which would take longer, or even like a hand saw, which would take longer. But you definitely don't want to put a piece of wood like this on the table saw, because that's when you can really risk issues like kickback, because there's so much tension and pressure and stuff in the wood. So the wood is just gonna want to misbehave, and that can be really dangerous. Let's go a little deeper. Let's try to go like there, and then we'll have one more cut after that. So we'll do 3 cuts. So now I just have to find my line back again. Okay, let's do the final cut now. Let's see if we have enough here to go all the way through. Ooh. So look here, this is a good example of just like how much tension is in this wood. So it kind of split open, so it's cracked on that side. This is still connected, so let's just turn it around. Okay, we got our wood. So now we have two pieces with a lot less tension in them, where before, if we had tried to get them straight, well, first of all, it would have cracked. But we would have to also get it so much thinner than we need to do these individually. Also, these are the sawhorses made on the CNC machine using plywood. That was before plywood was so expensive. But they have been really great. I really like them. And I just take them out like for this kind of stuff. Okay, so the next step that I want to do now is figure out what pieces do I need to get out of here? Like how long do they need to be? How thick do they need to be? And then kind of work from there, because I don't want to chop something off and realize like I needed something longer. Not that anything is going to be that long really, but not for a butcher block table. You know, you can also see if there are any problem areas where, you know, there's a knot right here. That would be a good area to cut. So this one did a good job. Let's see how much. We just used 1 bar up. Keys here, go slowly, and if possibly just do it in more shallow cuts. So I got some smaller pieces cut up here. It's a little insect hole. I used to think that it was like completely horrible to find any dead insects in your wood, but I think I've toughened up a little bit. This wood though has been sitting drying. We've had it for what, 3 years now, something like that. So it's certainly dry enough. Okay, so now we have wood that is smaller. Still rough sawn, but smaller and more manageable to work with. The problem is we have no straight sides. Every single side is uneven. And in order to use machinery, we need some straight sides. So job number 1 at this point is to get one straight side going. Either by using a jointer or a hand plane or a jig and a router. You can totally do a hand plane, but it's going to be a lot of work. It's a little tricky because sometimes the pieces were so large or twisted, and I had to bring the lumber into the shop and try to chop off those problem areas manually. Basically, when you need to remove a lot of material, I sometimes find it easier to simply put the chisel down and chop sections off that way. And this is mostly to get it square enough to put it through the bandsaw so it's not so twisted. Some pieces were straight and required less work. Some were bowed, more like this one, and required more. If you had more heavy-duty equipment, you might run these pieces through a large jointer right off the bat. However, these pieces are... I've done it, you can do it. That's a great way to start, actually. If you're just starting out with rough sawn lumber and you don't want to invest in all the equipment, get yourself a hand plane and do it that way, right? Now, once you have jointed one side, flatten the ripped edge of the board to get a straight edge. That's 90 degrees to the face. Now, that means at this point you can run it against the fence of a table saw, if you want to do that. So now when you have two sides jointed, you can run it through a thickness planer. Now, if you don't have a thickness planer, the same tools apply. You can use a hand plane, a jig, and a router. Once you have the wood flattened, and now this is the point where you can put it on the table saw to cut it, to rip it, or put it on a bandsaw to get thinner boards, if that's what you're looking for. A couple of tips when working with rough sawn lumber. Always buy more than you think. Rough sawn lumber may seem like a really good deal, and it is, but first of all, you're going to lose quite a bit of that wood. You're not going to get all that wood that you're buying. If you're buying a whole bunch of board feet and then you think, oh wow, that's a lot of wood, well, you're going to lose a lot. You might want to account for losing like a 1/4 inch in terms of thickness. If there are knots, if there are pieces that you need to cut out, you're going to lose a lot that way too. So just be prepared for a lot of that wood is going to turn into sawdust and maybe the burn pile. Always cut the wood into smaller sections if you're uneasy. That way it'll be a lot safer to joint and plane, and the smaller the section, the less issues each section is going to have. If you have the time and you're looking for really flat results, then a good option or a good idea is to do a rough milling first. So you flatten the boards, you do the thickness planer, but you don't go to your final thickness. You leave a little bit of room, and then you let the wood at this point kind of rest a little bit. And sometimes you can get even more twists or tension building at this point. So then once that has happened, you can, go through the process again and run it to its final thickness. I almost think about this almost like when you're baking bread and the dough needs to rest in multiple stages just to kind of relax, and the tension needs to build. You let it kind of do its thing, and then you can work with it again. The same thing with wood. Now you may look at this and you may think, oh wow, that seems like a lot of work, all of this. And that is certainly true. So why would you even do this? Why wouldn't you go to the hardware store and pick up some beautifully milled wood ready to build with? First of all, it's a lot cheaper, right? You can save a lot of money doing this. Of course, on the other hand, you'll also need more equipment, unless you want to do it by hand, which you can do. The other thing that's really nice is that you can get whatever exact thickness you need. Sometimes you may want a thickness that is different from the standard 3/4, 1/2 inch, that kind of thing, and if you do it by yourself, you can get exactly what you're looking for. The other thing you can get is you can play with designs more. You can get like a book match design by cutting a wood in half and get some of the really cool looks, which you wouldn't be able to get very easily anyway if you buy it in a store. Then of course you have more options. You might be able to find rough sawn lumber in species that you just can't find milled up in the regular store, so that's kind of cool. And then the other thing is you might actually have less waste, because sometimes when you buy pre-milled lumber and it's all done, it's all perfect in the store, you take it home and then it starts to twist and turn and bow because your conditions in your shop is different from the conditions in the woodworking store. So by going through the process yourself in your environment, you can actually reduce twisting and cups and issues and things like that in the wood and have less waste. So anyway, those are some reasons why you may want to go into working with rough sawn lumber. Not to mention, if you have a big project and you need a lot of wood, I think it's definitely the way to go. So thanks so much for hanging out with me. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Bye.